Good morning to our viewer in Nigeria, Africa, and any other part of the world you're watching from. It's The Conversation on TOS TV Network, your digital first for an African news network. And my name is Adesawasui.
My name is Merciful Ajinamo. Good morning to our viewers from Africa, Nigeria, and of course the world. Good morning, Adeswa. How are you?
Good morning, Merciful.
How are you doing?
Feels like I haven't seen you in ages. I mean, I see you every day, but we haven't hosted the show.
Yeah, on the
together.
set for a long time
so
now.
It just feels like I haven't seen you in ages.
How have you been, though?
I've been well.
You look really good.
Thank you so much. I was going to say the same about you.
We say that every time.
I know, right?
Every time. So, what's your plan for the weekend and everything? I know it's just one day.
I was going to
already
say
and
just
stuff,
Thursday. It's still Friday.
I mean, the month just started. Which is
the month has just started.
It just
We're over-
started.
we're
I mean,
over-
but like we already.
Today's like 19.
Today's like 19, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Very soon we'll go to December and
I
everything.
know.
And
Christmas.
2021 comes
Do you
to
like
an end.
Christmas?
Of course, who doesn't?
I know people who don't love Christmas, but yeah.
Talk for another day, yeah? So how are you doing and everything?
I'm very
Hope you're
well,
prepared
thank
for the
you.
day.
Yes, I am. As you can see, I'm very stoked, It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure to have to, come here every morning and do the show.
Definitely,
It's a
wearing
pleasure.
nice clothes like you're
know,
wearing
right?
and just coming to talk to our wonderful viewers.
Okay, so, with all the razzmatazz happening here today, we're going to be bringing you some Thursday morning motivation with our quote of the day. And after that, we'll be looking at stories from across Africa.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
What is this?
The Cadbury goodness is in every pack of Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate, making you feel cheerful and pleasant. Enjoy the Cadbury goodness.
All right, let's kickstart the show proper with new development across Africa segment. And we'll be starting with Nigeria, starting from Nigeria actually with this story about, women in occupying leadership position. So a report by the International Finance Corporation through the Nigeria to Equal program titled Gender Equality in Nigeria's Private Sector, a gender gap assessment of 30 leading companies listed on the Nigerian exchange has shown that the country has 20% women occupying the executive level, which is 3% higher than the global average of 17%. This improvement is an indication that Nigeria may be heading towards gender equality.
I'm really proud. This news is really, really good. I feel really, really proud of Nigeria for the first time when it comes to equality and everything. I know there's been so much talks about achieving some sort of equality in terms of our leadership positions and women being inclusive in governance and everything. But for the last couple of months, where we've always come to the show to talk about how women are occupying even bank positions, government positions and everything, I'm like, okay, it shows that there's something that we're doing right. Yes. We're shining the spotlight on an issue that has for a long time, ravaged the country and the world at large. So people are beginning to see the importance, how women can bring value to the table. And we see women doing wonderful things. I mean, talk of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, it was a very good thing she did. It was a very good thing she achieved, So people are beginning to look. I'm just hopeful that, more women, see this as some sort of challenge and rise up to the task, and regardless of what the society around them, because we've not achieved it fully until it's 50%, because when we talk about equality, it's more like everything access across board. So 30% is good, 20%, 70% what is good, but till we get to that point, trust me, where we say, oh, there is no issue such as women inequality or gender inequality or anything. They will know that yes, there's a, but definitely I'm really proud. Trust me.
Yes, I know that this is like this is very applaudable. I mean, women. I know women have over time been trusted with the helm of affairs with companies, and that's why I think we have this, in private sector, and then women heading leadership position, women, female CEOs, female general managers. But we're still looking at, having to, this trickles down to positions of authority, like leadership positions in the country, political positions. We're still looking at having more women in parliament, more women, in the National Assembly, female governors, female local government chairman, female president, even a female vice president. We're still looking to get to that point. I think when we get to that point, I can fully say, look, we have gotten to this stage where we say there's really no gender gap in Nigeria.
Yeah, but I'm proud of Nigeria for the first time.
Yes. Oh, you said for the first time.
When it comes to gender inequality, of course, the subject matter and everything.
I
So I'm like,
totally
okay.
yeah.
All right, moving on, we go to Burkina Faso, where the murder trial of ex-Burkina Faso president is to begin in October. The murder trial of former president of Burkina Faso, Blaise Compaoré, and 13 co-accused of the 1987 assassination of his predecessor, Thomas Sankara, has been fixed for October 11th. According to an official statement on Tuesday, the trial will be conducted publicly in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's capital. Compaoré was forced into exile in 2014 after he attempted to change the law to extend his rule.
Imagine the audacity and the complete, the total abuse of power. So,
which we've been always seeing,
Yes,
in Africa, when it comes to leadership, how you want to just do everything in your power to make sure you remain on that seat. And that's very unhealthy.
So he really was going to change the law to help him stay in power longer than he should stay.
It's not news to me.
I know it's not news.
Trust me.
It's not news. I mean, that's why people want to do first term, second term in government, third term if they like. And if you're in a country like Uganda, you can even be in power for 30 years. All of that. The desire to want to cling to power in Africa and African leaders, it's too strong. I think we need to start enacting laws, and we need to start doing things to help losing that grip.
Yes,
Look,
across the continent. So if we have laws that, look, a president can last for only 2 tenures, I think that's really good.
Exactly.
When you're done, just come make an impact. Pass the baton over to someone else.
Forever. It's not your father's house.
Because of the money they are amassing for themselves and their family. So it all boils down to greed and corruption. And that has been an issue. For Africa to thrive in terms of development and, everything else to do with our, development as a continent. We have to do away with corruption and greed. Trust me. If we do away with corruption and greed, a lot can be achieved.
I'm just really happy that, how they say the long arm of the law is going to catch up with you eventually. So the long arm of the law is
why do you head like that?
I'm just trying to emphasize.
Going to catch up with you eventually, yeah?
The long arm of the law actually caught up with him. We just see how the trial goes, and then if he's found guilty. I mean, I'm glad that he's having to go through the actual procedure. So they're going to try him and then see if he's actually found guilty. Then
and to be an eye-opener for others who are considering the same thing in future, trying to extend their power by all means, even if it means tweaking the laws, which of course is not acceptable. So they will see this thing and they'll learn from it. So it's good.
Okay, all right. So moving over to Malawi. So Malawian president and new chairperson of the Southern African Development Community, that's SADC, Lazarus Chakwera, while speaking at the 2021 South African Summit, condemned in strong terms what he described as inequality in access to COVID-19 vaccines, adding that the trend will no longer be acceptable. Vaccine belongs to all nations, irrespective of who found it, Chakwera said. And I think that's very valid, because I know lots of African countries have been complaining about the supposed rich countries having to hoard the vaccine. Now, Africa isn't producing vaccine at this point, so we're having to be dependent on countries to donate vaccines, to give vaccine. Even when we're ready to buy vaccines, may not be available, to be purchased, because every country in the world actually does need vaccine. And that's why, I think that the continent is clamoring for, look, even if it's just 2 countries in Africa that are producing Africa's vaccine, we know that we don't have to be so dependent on other countries to send vaccines to Africa. So as Chakwera did say, it belongs to all nations,
irrespective
of who's producing it. Yes, exactly. And I think a vaccine should be available to everyone.
Definitely.
Okay, so talking about vaccine, we're going to bring you COVID-19 updates from across Africa right now. But as I always say, COVID-19 is real. is very deadly. The third wave is worse than the first and the second, and is highly transmissible. So do your part to ensure that you do not go down that line, and then the next person is safe as well. So get vaccinated, wear your face mask, social distance, avoid public, spaces, sanitize, and just all of those things we have been reading out in the last 1 year over, and just do your bit to ensure that you and the next person is safe. So COVID-19 updates from across Africa, and after that we'll be looking at newspaper headlines this morning.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
My son has always dreamt of being in the spotlight.
As his mother, it is my duty to help him live up to his dream.
That's why I give him Born Vita every day,
Which contains iron, zinc, and vitamin C that supports his immunity and gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Born Vita, strength to dream.
It is still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television, and it's that time where I say you can be a part of our social media community. Follow us across all our social media platforms at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our website is www.tostvnetwork.com. So you can live stream all our programs, and if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so you do not miss out on all our amazing content we have. It's still the conversation, and this morning on the newspaper headline segment of the show, we begin with our national dailies for this morning, starting with the Daily Trust. Bandits killed 7 Nigerian soldiers, 3 villagers, abduct 17 others in Katsina. And just side by side, NNPC partners sign 50 megawatt Maiduguri power project pact. Now can be found on page 18. And fear grips Zamfara communities as new armed group emerges. And that can be found on page 7. The banner headline there says, doubt thrill surrender of Boko Haram members. For riders, the first repentant fighters could be deceptive, coming from a traditional ruler. We will not forgive them, those IDPs and residents. And we assure they are insurgent. That's coming from Defense Headquarters. And experts call for cautious optimism. That can be found on pages 4 and 5. We have a couple of other headlines there. Just pick up a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper today.
Okay, moving over to the Business Day newspaper, starting with the banner headline there, and it says, Lagos power market holds gains for Nigeria if federal government allows. Besides that, Green Africa may not be Nigeria's cheapest airline. Jamaica shows Nigeria how to retain star athletes. And the last headline on the Business Day newspaper says, Nigeria's fiscal deficit hits highest in 21 years as revenues flop.
I'll move over to the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. From the very top, NNPC, CNEC, others signed contracts for 50 megawatt Maiduguri emergency power project. I think very obvious headline there. That's the banner headline. PIA, federal government to unveil roadmap for subsidy removal. 2 riders. The first says no sack of oil workers. the second to finalize implementation in 12 months. We have a couple of others. Just under the picture of the day there, we see federal government needs $400 billion in 29 years to power over 25 million houses. And that's coming from Jedi Agba, now can be found on page 16 of the Nigerian News Direct.
Okay, and then to the Blueprint newspaper, I beg your pardon, the Blueprint newspaper, the very first headline says, why CBN blocked accounts of RiseVest Technologies and 5 others. Underneath that, Shell suffers another setback as gunmen hack staff to death. 4.973 trillion naira balances in 2019 audit report unsubstantiated. That's from the AGF. Says AGF office grossly incapacitated. APC LG Congresses hold September 4th. The banner headline in the Blueprint newspaper says Nigeria lost $50 billion investments to delayed PIB passage, and that's from President Buhari. 4 items underneath the headline. The first one says Act will end gas flaring, revive host communities. Sets up steering committee, orders MDAs to comply in 12 months, 3% to host communities, recipe for crisis, that's from Governor Wike. It has broken NNPC monopoly, that's from APC governors. Underneath the picture of the day, 5 killed in fresh plateau attack, Lalong meets Irigwe Fulani leaders. FEC okay 16.6 billion naira for construction of Yobe airports and orders. Kano agog for Buhari's son's wedding, BGMS coronation. Imo offers scholarship to teenage aircraft manufacturer. And the last headline there says 3 killed as Afghan protests Taliban's promise of peaceful rule.
We have the last newspaper for this morning, that's the Daily Times. And just one story on that page, and that is Mrs. Joy Ementa, matriarch of Anosike family, passes on. We can just get yourself a copy of the Daily Times to read about the story there. And that's it for the newspaper headline segment of the conversation this morning. I will go on a short break now. When we return, we'll bring you the big story. Stay tuned.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. The farm say you sabi. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel.
It's still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. Like I always say, stay updated on the conversation and other programs and follow us across our social media handles that is displayed on your screen. That is at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's the big story segment of the show, the crux of the conversation. And this morning, we talk about resident doctors' strike, federal government doctors yet to reach an agreement. And joining us via the telephone this morning is Comrade Wahid Saka, a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the show, Comrade.
Good morning, my brother. It's good to be on your station again.
Pleasure is all ours. We dive straight to it. So, the resident doctors commenced an industrial strike on August 1st over irregular payment of salaries, among other issues. And now, thereafter, the federal government dragged the association before the National Industrial Court. And up until now, the strike has not been called off. What do you make of all of this?
As far as I'm concerned, the government has not sufficiently shown that they are actually ready on any negotiating table, whether it's a resident doctor or Nigerian Labour Congress or TUC or any aggrieved citizen of this country. So I'm not surprised they are dilly-dallying about this issue of resident doctors. And when you put it to them, what are the core issues that has been generated? Issue of concern for the resident doctor in Nigeria. If they are concerned about the brain drain and the exodus of thoroughbred medical doctors moving out of the country. They will not be doing this to the current people still striving hard to work for a health sector that is good for every citizen of this country. Now, the four area of concern of the resident doctor that they are debating about, if this government is sincere, and if they are ready, if they are not looking at it from the point of the elite can actually move out of the country for health pilgrimage, they will not they will not still be on the discussion table at this very hour. Because there have been several dialogues between the resident doctor and the only language successive government in Nigeria understand is either protest or strike. And that is when you question the rationale behind doctors' incessant strike. Considering they signed as doctors Hippocratic oath to continue to safeguard lives of our people. They are human too, and every worker deserves their pay. As government at all levels to see to the fact that they are there to actually do the wish of their people. Now, they talk about the use of training funds of resident doctors. They talk about the use of salary shortfall from 2014 to 2016. They talk about the use of some tertiary institutions employing doctors without due process, and the federal government stopped their salary. And the last one, the removal of resident doctor and NYC from the scheme of service. These are issues of their welfare, and these are issues, and like the resident doctor said, the president of the resident doctor said, that an angry doctor is dangerous to the system. So we as citizens must consider that if government, and this is not only Buhari government issue, successive government are shortaging our people, and health facility in Nigeria is nothing to write home about. So therefore, if you are saying Nigeria government is sincere, you are very, very correct. As a matter of fact, the insincerity of the federal government crop up during the negotiation with the House Committee on House of Reps. The federal government keeps on talking about non-existing court of appeal or whatever they call it. Now, because of that, they cannot talk about a certain issue. And the resident doctor put it to them that they have been using the same court not to address the core issue that is affecting them. So that we see the sincerity of our government will actually cripple further the health sector in Nigeria. And every concerned Nigeria must support the resident doctor because our life depends on having a very robust health sector.
Okay.
So, comrade, you did say from the first point there that strike actions and protests is what the government of Nigeria understands. Now
that's the only language they understand.
Yes. So now this particular issue, the case has been adjourned to September. So what then is the hope of the masses, the average Nigerian people who require the services of these resident doctors, if we keep on going back and forth on the government, the associations? What then is the hope of the people? If the only answer, that the only theme the government understands is protest and strike, what is left for all the average Nigerians?
Let me tell you, the average Nigerian must see this as a call to have a very good health sector. And they should not be escapists in their approach to it. people will talk about that some people are on hospital bed now. If they railroad the resident doctor to call off the strike without addressing the causes that has been ravaging that sector in the past since 1999, then there will still be another strike again where some other people will still be on sick bed. So we must try hard to understand that this is a sacrifice that we must make collectively. And tell our government derive their sovereignty from the people. And if the same people are facing the crisis of this type, then the government is not doing well. And people should see resident doctor as their partner in progress. They can choose not to even talk about the rotting in that sector, but they choose it because that is the area that they know is affecting everybody. We deserve more than this. And we can only sacrifice today so that we enjoy in the future. But if we choose not to sacrifice today, we'll still sacrifice more time in the future for the same issue on that issue.
Okay, you're talking about sacrificing, and ironically earlier you mentioned that Nigerians should understand the plight of these doctors because our lives depend on them. Literally, our lives literally depend on them because it's a critical time in the country that the doctors are going on strike. We have COVID ravaging, we have cholera, and all of that stuff. In your opinion, what would you say is an alternative, practical alternative to, not having these doctors in the hospital for people who actually need medical attention at this point?
I didn't hear you well, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm asking that in your opinion, what would you say is a practical alternative for Nigerians who need medical attention at this point? These doctors are not in the hospital. We cannot force them to come back to the hospital because you have to understand that this is necessary at this point. So what should we do practically to, as an alternative to having, medical attention?
We have limited alternative actually on this issue of resident doctor. We have limited alternatives. However, one thing is very, very true. The issue is a national one. Despite the fact that some area is ravaged by cholera, because I heard you mention that.
Yeah.
And people are under. You see, this should give the government more appetite to actually deal with this issue and address it because a lot of things is happening at the moment. But because government careless, that's why they are still doing as if nothing is happening. And any approach to this very particular issue will continue to affect us because at least they know they pick a ticket and go to US or UK or anywhere to go and get medical help. But our people don't have such. That is why I said, at this moment, what we need to do is to give our social support to the resident doctor and find a logical end to this type of incessant strike. If we cannot do it now, we'll definitely do it in the future.
Okay, one last question before I let you go. There's the no work, no play clause and hanging above all of this. Do you think that clause should be applicable, in this situation?
I didn't hear you.
I said there is a no work, no pay clause, hanging over the situation. The government is saying there's a no work, no pay.
Do you know that the 2014 to 2015 shortfall was actually due to no work, no pay. You see, the issue is thesis, create antithesis. And if they have done well as government, will the resident doctor go on strike? No. And if they are not threatening them with no work, no pay, they are actually wasting our collective time. Because even if you recruit new doctors and you sack everybody today, they will still not have enough manpower. We will still not have enough manpower to take care of our SEU. So therefore, government should stop that subtle threat of no work, no pay. It has never worked in the past. It will not work now, and it will not work in the future.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Wahid, for your time on the show this morning. It's been a very wonderful one, I must say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
My pleasure always.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, viewers, for staying tuned to the conversation this morning. It's been a wonderful moment with you guys. You can always be a part of it. Your contributions, opinions are needed. Just follow us across our social media platforms and drop them. We'll get them from there, okay? My name is Merciful Ajinimo. Thank you so much for watching.
And my name is Adesua. So you don't forget to stay safe. COVID is real. Stay safe. Protect yourself always. And we'll see you tomorrow.